often think myself alone at sea. I am not lost in this, for I know myself clearly as one can anyway. No, I do not think myself lost, but I do think myself alone. I often feel that the world begins where my skin ends, that flesh is the boundary between myself and the vastness of what awaits me in time, in space. Whether monotonous, boisterous, cantankerous, zealous, porous, I am no more or less than the master of my own buoyancy. The waves, those waves of purpose and chaos, the same pantheon of waves you behold beneath you as you, yourself, watch in this very moment. Those same waves that carried you here, you, a body forever perceiving solely from within its own horizons, those waves, they speak to me. It is I to whom they call, and it is I who responds. It is I who sits and eats and thinks and commutes and converses. It is I who rehearses, I who learns, I who curses others for my troubles, I who redoubles my efforts to succeed when faced with rejection after rejection, I who carries on and carries on and carries on and carries on and carries on. It is I who loves, I who aims, I who claims that I am master of my own buoyancy, because it is also I who neglects. It is I who loses myself to the lullaby of my world. It is I who forgets that to see beneath the gamut from monotony to zeal is to reveal a whole history, bequeathed to me in the form of this flesh, this skin, and this raft. It is I who forgets that I was not born on waves this placid. It is I who forgets the harbor and the passage. The harbor is where the ocean meets the wall, where some kites fly and some fall every Easter in the port they called youth. The kites by the seawall were built as their builders were, together, made from a land from which the British tarried with sticks and twigs and gamma cherries. Culture despite the imposition. Culture because they were forced to listen to each other and the earth, where the sweetly rich fruit picked free from sapodilla trees was worth the climb. But rafts of sticks and twigs and flour paste in celebration built to fly disguise the shepherds of famine and lies that brought my ancestors to Guyana. Guyana. I've never felt its heat. I've never seen the Atlantic crash and recede. I've never tasted Demerara sugar fresh from the cane, nor bussa lime by the train tracks again and again. They worked hard and they slaved, they hurt and they gave to a future built on faith. Faith of prosperity and of plenty. Faith that the work of today would not leave them empty, but many would come to know that you could only get so far. Emancipation. Power. Faith. Faith. Faith is air breathed only by willing lungs, and breathless the chorus of futures no longer sung. So began the search for farther than far, the raft of prospect built astride the abattoir of dreams and chances spied in the wake towards a better horizon, theirs to take. To have was the wind, the quadrant, the compass, the sextant, the spyglass, the suit pants pressed so those before whose voyage was bravery would leave with one last warm memory. It is a courage I have never known, to eulogize a home, to travel into the unknown with little money towards the land of milk and honey. For us, yet unborn, my family left for an unfamiliar shore, sponsored to waters never felt before, where the cadence was dour and the cold laughed inhumanely, where the honey was sour and the milk always grainy. There's only one family history, and when it's gone, it's gone. This dawned on me during the pandemic. We were all so cut off from one another. Even casual conversation became anything but. I missed my family. So as the restrictions became less restrictive, I spent months interviewing them, recording them speak about their childhoods, their decision to leave Guyana, their passage to Canada, seeing for the first time that great river of light that was Highway 401 in Toronto as they began their descent. Hardly enough time to right themselves before the next wave crashed against them. Arriving in clothes made for the tropics to meet the driving snow of their first Canadian winter. Every street sign draped in a layer of itself, their metallic green evoking no sense of direction or place. The choice to be made and the question of how. How will they live? How will they pay rent? How will they make something of themselves? How will they make more of themselves? It is an unenviable task having to say to your ambitions, not now, and I don't know when. Their passage was tidal. My parents crested job after job in search of a career, riding the bus across the city and back, riding the line between effort and slack, riling up the white Canadians with little more than their presence, rising above it to help each other answer the question of how do we provide? How do we survive? It was hardest for the first ones here. Not only did they have to find an answer, they had to find it alone. Their hands holding nothing but ground against the nauseating vastness of this country. But because they weathered the storm, they could shelter others, meet them at the airport with winter coats, reveal the meaning of the street signs, give sense to this place, help them start again, help them start over, start anew, provide, survive. How was the grip that tethered their purpose to their newfound place? This question was styptic for the weather that whipped their bodies and lashed their face. We are of the earth, shaped by the ground upon which we are made. Rhythm is the answer to the gape, the absence of the body's territorial braid. But to learn anew that entanglement, to permit the sway of this strangely lilting sea, to gasp the air that could strangle them was the gamble they made wittingly. So they could master that entanglement and welcome the lilting sea, so they might inspire the air that could strangle them to transmute the rock and cradle us gently. I was born to the lullaby they strained so hard to sing. I was born to the lullaby, the succession of their warbling. I was born to the lullaby, and that is no bad thing, for I am privileged to ask why and wonder where I've been, to wonder where I'm swept and to whom I owe my life, to choose the path I trek and then decide if it is right. To grow. To learn. To find love, to feel loved. Hands no longer holding ground, but the hands of others they have found. I oft forget I am the whirling choices, languid, measured, rapid, that meet me in their hurling from the past to where I happen. I neglect my hands know no uncurling, for my waves now whisper tacit. My raft reveals no hint of swirling, born to waves I know as placid. And though I cannot see my fate unfurling, nor whether time will rear or ravage, of this I am absolutely certain. I owe my life to the harbor and the passage.